Are we on? Yes, we're on. We are on this fine Thursday, August 18th, 1922. A date that will live in infamy. Oh, I'm sorry. That was Pearl Harbor Day. Okay, the opinions of the host, guests, and any callers, December 7th, right? And anyone who comments are not representative of the opinion of Mr. Singer's employer or anyone associated with Gloves Off. Howdy ho, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. Our guest is a repeat guest because I have so much fun with him. In fact, I just told him that I did not have Gene Flynn on the program today so I could get him on because we talk about such a bevy of different comments. What are you smirking about over there? So, Mo, how you doing, Mo?
I guess he's a glutton for punishment.
Okay, so the first 10 minutes always is on my friend Steve Cody because he always continues to post stuff about me. So I have to share it with everybody. Do you want to pop that bad boy up so I can read it? Okay, here's my here's my my Steve Cody comment today. My former opponent, David Singer, is going after a friend of mine because of a teenage pregnancy. This is in the scientific. This just ends. There is scientific proof that David Singer of Gloves Off is the leading cause of vaginal dryness in America. Of course, if we're going to apply his morality to him, what's his explanation for having a child out of wedlock? I don't think any child is illegitimate, but if he's going to talk the talk, he should walk the walk. The man is poor of heart, poor of spirit. Okay, once again. This little, and you can keep this up for a second. This no, put it back up so people can read it. This is Steve Cody's comments this week on Facebook, which leads me to open the door on what he's talking about it as far as. Oh, by the way, he is, in case nobody's ever watched the show before, the council member of Palmetto Bay, one that Karen Cunningham. There he is, one that Karen Cunningham helped get elected about 2 years ago. He is such a distinguished person on the council. Yuck, 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 yuck. If anybody's seen my continue to post stuff that the whack job posts about me. Anyway, put that back up for a second, please. Can you put that up? Okay, so he says, my former opponent, David Singer, is going after a friend of mine because of a teenage pregnancy. That opens the door for the teenage pregnancy comment. Okay. And this is really none of my business or anybody whose business it is in voting for in Palmetto Bay. But what he's talking about is Mayor Karen Cunningham apparently got pregnant when she was in high school. And I don't know what happened to the pregnancy. I don't know if it was aborted or if she gave it away for adoption or anything else. Either way, it happened in high school, and it's none of my business. And really, none of Steve Cody's business and none of anybody else's business the voting public in Palmetto Bay. I'm sure she's one of numerous people who have gotten pregnant in high school. I happen to know a couple of people that got pregnant in high school. It's probably a little bit too young, but it happens. And we shouldn't be talking about what happened to her in high school or what didn't happen to her in high school. But what we can talk about.
The leading cause of vaginal dryness?
No. I don't know. You may. That could be accurate or it could be inaccurate.
I'm not sure why David brings me back.
I don't know. But I got to tell you what we can talk about, though. Okay, besides her apparently getting pregnant in high school, which has not been confirmed or denied by her. Actually, that's not true. It was confirmed because she made a comment during a council meeting that she did get pregnant during high school. Is her ability to attract and sleep with married men while she's in office, and there are numerous information has that she has had affair with married men who have children. And once again, as far as her getting pregnant is nobody else's business, but the fact that she is the mayor of Palmetto Bay is everybody else's business. If she's having affairs with married men, I think that is that
a job requirement? Is
no,
that really...
but it goes down to morals, right? Okay, so Kathy Hayes Janice, who's a friend of mine, says, show this post again. I didn't see it. Okay, so you can show the post back up. Anyway, so that's none of my business, but what is her business is her morals. And if it was a man, and this is me saying right now, if it was a man who was having an affair with a married woman, it would be all over the news. And the way she goes up to married men or men in general and touching them and feeling them, if that was a guy who did the exact same thing, it would be all over the news. when Biden did it, it was all over the news. Okay. So the fact of the matter is she's always touching and rubbing people and everything else. It's a little embarrassing. She used to do it to me. It drove me nuts because I was basically married at the time. But the touchy-feely thing, if you're going to go after a man for something like that, you should go after a woman. If a man's having an affair and it's going to make national headlines or local news or something like that, it should be local news about a woman too.
Yeah, but my question is her having an affair, yes or no, a disqualifier for her being able to do her job correctly? I guess that's what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to separate personal life.
No, that's true.
That's all I'm bringing up.
It's not a qualifier. It's not a qualifier to be mayor, but it is an ethical and moral question mark, okay, about somebody who's running for political office. And actually, it should be brought out and discussed, because do you really want people who have had affairs with married men or continue to cheat with married men or women for that matter? Do you really want them representing you, okay, as a political figure? And I would say no, whether I liked her or not, whether it was a guy running. Okay, I would not vote for a guy who was cheating on his wife or cheating with somebody else.
Define cheating. Maybe they have an open relationship. It's possible.
It might be.
Yeah. So I
don't. Okay. Once again, from what my understanding is, it's not an open relationship. And what's unfortunate is the person that she was apparently having an affair with, okay, is running for another political office and it hasn't come out yet. So you got two people running for political office cheating with each other. I got a problem. Listen, I've said this on a program numerous times. I grew up with parents who had affairs, and as a child, it had ramifications. Yeah. So I mean, I have a problem with it. If you're going to sit there and cheat and fool around with somebody who's married, get a divorce. I mean, I don't care about people sleeping around, but Jesus, get a divorce. Do the kids a favor.
Well, but again, my point is we need to kind of separate that personal life from your professional life. Now, if she's going out with, under the premise that, hey, I don't support this, I condone it, and she's thumping her chest about it as a political agenda, and then you find her cheating, I 100% agree with you. But if she's never out there preaching that I'm the holy roller or this is wrong,
she makes herself out to be the.
Okay. So
yeah, she makes herself out to be. Give me somebody who's Mother Teresa.
Okay, well that's
okay. If she's putting herself out there to be Mother Teresa and she's turning around. And if she is still having an affair or did have an affair or whatever else, it's an issue. It's an issue for me anyway. Yeah, well, I mean, if it's not an issue for the general public, that's fine. Yeah. But I'm telling you right now, if it was a man, it would be a totally different than a woman who's doing it.
Well, I think we definitely scrutinize. But I guess my point I'm trying to make is I just don't think it's fair to scrutinize people based on their personal habits or their personal life.
Let me ask you a question. If you had somebody in public office who was doing a bunch of drugs, say they were stoned all the time or they were drunk all the time or something like that, would that have
yeah, but I can argue that that's actually going to affect their performance and that's actually going to affect some of their decision-making ability. So I don't know if I could.
Well, maybe her being mayor affects her performance. Okay. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Did that take a while to go? Did that almost go over your head?
It almost did.
Anyway, the fact is that I'm telling you right now. So what I was saying originally is the pregnancy thing is just a non-issue, and it should be a non-issue to everyone.
I'm glad you state that because that's her personal business.
That's happened when she was a kid, and it could happen to anybody's children. And the thing about the affair is just the way I read it. I just.
Yeah, well, again, if you're going out there and if she's going out there preaching that she's I don't
know, she sets herself
holy
out to
roller,
be.
Mother Teresa, judging others.
Listen, this is a woman who was a Republican, but she wanted to run for office, and she knew that to run for office and get elected in Palmetto Bay, she had to be a Democrat. So she switched from Republican to Democrat. She'll do anything to get elected.
Again, my final thought is it's just, in general, I don't like for people to judge other people. Again, it's not our place to judge folks.
I'm not. Yeah. I don't.
No. Again, I gave you that caveat. Unless you're going out there with this ticket of saying, "Hey, I am such and such," and then your behavior is completely the opposite. Then that's a different story. Well, then we're going to judge you based on the fact that you're lying and you're misleading people.
Believe me, she does that too all the time. Anyway, okay, let's get off that topic. But we should show that one more time. Can we show Cody's email one more time? Oh, and wait, don't show. Okay, so I'll read this real quick, and then somebody actually responded to Cody's Facebook page, and I'm going to show that. I'll read that to you. Okay, so this is a response from a resident. Oh, I can't read this. Can you read that, Liam?
Sure, yeah. Dear Palmetto Bay, I'm writing to advise you that the vulgarity spoken by Councilman Steve Cody attached here below is inappropriate, especially in a social media platform of female organs, is totally out of line and unethical. It's degrading to all women and females and to our community. How can I make a formal complaint against Councilman Steve Cody and have this sort of speech stopped?
Yeah, I don't know. I think, honestly, I think it's probably freedom of speech, and I think that would be, hey, Pat, how you doing? Pat, I need you at my house, and your Pat's got great barbecue.
He's got ribs, apparently.
Pat has the best barbecue in Dade County, maybe the second best ribs in Dade County. I don't know. Anyway, Pat's great, and he's got a food truck now. I need your food truck at my house October 15th for a party. Having a party at my house October 15th. My band's going to play there, and we're going to be serving food and booze.
And I do expect Steve Cody to make another meme about this party. And your boy.
Oh yeah,
and your boy band.
That's a subject he won't. Okay, so let's quit talking about Steve Cody and Karen Cunningham, because that's, if I wanted to do that, I would have had Gina on the phone or Gina on the program. I've viewed on the program. So let's talk about affirmative action for a second. So I don't know, I scour the newspaper on a daily basis for just weird shit. And this really caught my eye. And by the way, this is on Fox News. I don't know. It's probably accurate. May not be accurate. Who knows? Okay. Minnesota residents. It's the first thing here. Minnesota residents furious over anti-racist layoffs planned for white teachers. It's un-American. Okay, I'm just going to read 2 seconds of that. You think about discrimination that we faced in this country back in the 50s and 60s. They are wrong. It's wrong now. Former Republican Minnesota gubernatorial candidate Kendall Quayles told Fox News. Okay, so apparently in Minnesota, they have agreed if there's any layoffs, they're not going to do it by the date that you started working. Usually layoffs is the last one hired, the first one fired.
Yep.
Okay.
It's been first out.
Yeah, last and first out. It's been there. It's been there forever. Right?
As long as we can remember.
As long as we can remember. Minnesota's decided that instead of laying off last in, first out, they've decided to just lay off white people. Okay?
I want to pause you
white teachers.
Is this actually now official? Has this actually gone through?
This is, I got to tell you something. This looks like it went through because it was agreed with the Minnesota Federation of Teachers Union. The school district stating that white teachers will be laid off before teachers of color, regardless of their seniority. Okay, this is from the newspaper. This should really freak everybody out if you want to know the truth, because you hear when Trump was president, all the people were basically saying that the whites are becoming the minorities, are being treated differently, blah 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 blah. So if this is actually true,
but
I don't understand how this could get through court, by the way. How do you sit there and decide, okay, I'm not laying off anybody of color. I'm just going to lay off white teachers.
I'll be honest with you. I'm still in shock. I'm still not sure how true this is, by the way.
Oh, wait. No, it says, look. It says the agreement was reached to end a 2-week teacher strike last spring, says starting of the school year. If assessing a teacher who is a member of the population unrepresented among licensed teachers at the site, the district shall access the next least senior teacher who is not a member of the unrepresented population.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
It is pretty crazy.
Okay, so I've never been.
But that's my point. It was so crazy. I still can't believe it. I'm still not sure.
Okay.
I still want to do a lot of fact.
But this is yesterday at 10. Yeah. This is yesterday at 10:28.
I'm waiting for some kind of article to come out and say, wait a minute. There's something else to it. Because it does sound so ridiculous.
I don't trust Fox, CNN, or MSNBC. But this is pretty interesting that and I watched the interviews. And it's even
if somebody out there knows about it, I'd like somebody to comment actually about this, because it does sound so absurd. That's why it's so hard for me to believe it. Right? I'm not saying it's not true, and I'm not saying it's not in the article, because I did read it. But as I was reading it, I was like, "Is this for real? Are they missing something?"
But no, listen. They had. If you go to this website, they actually had interviews with people.
Wow.
Okay, and even the black people, the blacks that they interviewed. okay, and I don't know if I should say black or African American. If I'm being racist, somebody tell me. Say it's just ridiculous. How does this happen in this country?
It is ridiculous.
Okay, which led me, because this is like anti-affirmative. No, I guess this would be some sort of affirmative action. Listen, I've never been a fan of affirmative action.
This is actually technically racism.
Reverse racism.
Well, I don't even know if it's reverse racism.
Well,
it's just racism.
So hold on, wait. I don't know.
I don't even
Let's
understand the concept of reverse racism.
Here we go. Ready for this?
Yeah.
Okay. Racism definition. Okay, for everybody out there, a belief that race is a fundamental determinant of human traits and capacities, and that racial difference produces an inherent superiority of a particular race. A systematic oppression of a racial group to the social, economic, and political advantage of others. Listen, don't get me wrong. You know, and I know that there's racism in this country.
Oh, absolutely.
And the problem is people say, oh, you know, racism has changed from the 50s and the 60s. I'll agree with that. It's probably gotten
slightly better.
It's not great. The problem is that people don't sit there and kind of self-think, okay, am I being racist in this action or not in this action? Right. And look, I this is my feeling, and I'll probably get slammed for this, but I think there's many racists that are African American or Latin or white. I think it's everywhere. Right. It's not as prevalent as it was, and it's not as forthcoming. I mean, you don't sit there and sit there in a bar and start, so not in Miami anyway, and somebody starts spewing, bullshit.
Yeah.
It might happen in Alabama, for all I know.
That was a racist comment.
Yeah, I know. Well, I mean, I assure you, if you went, that would be.
I'd like to apologize all the viewers from Alabama.
All the Alabama people. University of which, by the way, I have another article about Alabama that's pretty interesting too. So, but there is racism out there, and anybody who sits there and denies that this country does not have racists is crazy.
And I'm going to throw a little monkey wrench here. What's the difference between racism and stereotyping and profiling? Is there a difference?
I think that one is being a bigot and one's being a racist, and there's a difference between the two.
Okay, because sometimes
you can't use the terms independently. You're supposed to. The term should be used independently.
Okay, so
do they teach anything about that in college?
What about stereotyping?
They have classes on it, but those are optional.
They should teach that. With your woke generation and everything. You figure that.
But aren't certain types of stereotypes true? I mean, isn't there?
I think there's a basis for certain types of stereotypes. And people use stereotypes and just they can't use stereotypes. I go, okay, but there's a basis for some stereotypes.
Okay, well, and I'm going to share a funny story if you can spare me the minute here. I'll tell you a funny story. Actually, involved my dad at the park with my kids. So I'm at the park with my dad and with my kids, and there's another couple that came to the park with their, I think it was 1 or 2 children, and it was a person of brown color, right? I wasn't really sure at the time where he was, but he was of brown origin. Somewhere in, probably in Asia. Brown is, again, we're going to get to that.
Okay.
So as we're playing, the kids start playing, and, kids, again, they don't see color, race, religion, nothing. Kids start playing together. We're naturally being friendly. People just start talking to this couple. It was a whiter lady with a white complexion with a brown gentleman. And as we started speaking, it turned out that the gentleman was from Pakistan. So, my dad always being Mr. Happy-go-lucky, and by the way, he's over 80. He says, "Oh, wow, you're from Pakistan. That's incredible. That's amazing. The store right next to my house, that the owner of this ice cream store, they're from Pakistan. Do you know them?" So I immediately paused and looked at my dad. I said, "Dad, are you serious? Do you just think that everybody that is from Pakistan knows each other?" And I go on this tirade for literally 2-3 minutes. Just Are
you kidding me? I know every Jew in Miami.
Yeah, drilling. But no joke. But as sure as the light of day, the gentleman turned around and looked at us and said, "Yeah, I actually know the so and so. We're actually good friends."
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, and I literally just stopped. I looked at my father and said, "I'm sorry." And my dad just couldn't stop laughing. And sure enough, I mean, it's funny because the Pakistani guy said, "Hey, listen," he said, "I guess stereotypes have some basis for forming in the first place."
Do. Okay, listen.
So again, that was the point of the story, was it made me rethink the whole concept of stereotype, because here's my dad making a comment which I thought was pretty, acid.
Out in the left field.
Like, really, just because he's from Pakistan, do you think David knows every Jew in Miami and Aventura?
Not in Aventura.
But apparently, it's just Miami.
Just Miami.
But apparently there was some truth behind the stereotype.
So a little bit of knowledge. So they have private clubs and memberships and stuff. And right, if you exclude anybody, you can't be a nonprofit.
Got it.
Okay, but mostly, if you think about it, people want to hang out with people of the same intellectual ability, the same kind of background and stuff like that. I mean, I like to hang out with a whole bunch of different people. One of my best friends is a woman. So which is probably pretty unusual because guys usually have best friends that are guys. But I liked it. But people, there's a lot of people that feel comfortable hanging out. And I'd say a majority of people hanging out with people that have the same backgrounds, the same, okay, if they have 2 kids that are 4 years old, you have somebody else's.
They can relate to each other.
So they can relate to each other. I'm not sure there's a problem with that.
Well, I think the point is why exclude them is the point.
Well, if you're excluding, okay, but if you're excluding people because they're black or they're Cuban or something like that, that would be racism. But if you're excluding them because you don't see, it's not, you don't feel the same comfort around somebody,
like a fishing club for a gentleman or a woman that never has gone fishing, doesn't own a fishing pole. Is that what you're saying?
Give me another analogy.
Okay. Let's see. Well, no, because I kind of think the opposite. I figure if there's a club out there, let's just say there's an Italian American club, right?
Yeah.
And you decide to join that Italian American club just because you find the culture interesting and the people exciting, and
you wouldn't be allowed in, probably,
and you want to learn more about it. As a matter of fact, there's one in Fort Lauderdale, and my mother's a member of.
Okay,
she's not Italian, and I've actually gone there before, and they actually welcome you, and it's actually a fun experience.
Is that because they serve pizza and pasta and stuff?
That's racist too, right?
No, no, there you go.
Is that racism or stereotyping?
That's kind of based on that's what. But I mean, I don't think that's racism.
But they do serve a lot of pasta.
Okay, there you go.
But actually, it's a great bunch of people. They welcome everybody. There's a lot of great music, and you learn about their culture. So, frankly, I find it actually amusing. I find it entertaining, and I find it.
Isn't that why we go? Isn't that why we go on vacations out of the country? Isn't that why people say, "Hey, I'm going to go to Europe, or I'm going to go to China, or I'm going to go to Japan, or I'm going to go to Jamaica, or wherever the hell, or South America," is because you want to experience different things, right?
Well, the point I'm making is I can understand why a specific individual may not be into that group or organization or that specific genre of people, but I don't see why you'd want to exclude somebody who doesn't necessarily fit into your sphere.
No, but what I'm saying is people like to hang out with people that are like,
not everybody.
But listen,
I don't. I'm like you. I actually love meeting people who are completely different. I find them more entertaining. Imagine a world full of people like me.
I like to hang out with people. I don't care who they are, but I'd like to hang out with people that have the same intellectual kind of like background as not that I necessarily have, but
how did I get on the show again?
You paid me.
Oh.
You paid me. So saying all that, okay, so we're talking about affirmative action. I mean, I don't believe in affirmative action. I definitely don't believe in
I don't believe in reverse racism. Like
reverse racism.
It's racism.
Affirmative action to me is ridiculous. Number one is somebody, and it's unfortunate. And my ex was a school teacher. To get in the gifted program, you have to have higher scores in Miami-Dade County if you're white. Then you have to if you're not white, which is kind of, to me, is kind of bizarre. I do believe that people
that's racism.
I don't know if it's no, that's affirmative action, and I think affirmative action is a basis of racism.
Well, that's actually where I was going to go with this. Okay. I think that these types of laws, this type of behavior, and this type of mentality actually perpetuates a lot more hatred, because I put myself in a situation where, let's just say I am your typical average white kid, right? And I see something like this, I would be pretty pissed. I would start hating people because of something like this, and rightfully so, because hey, just like.
Oh, and that article, by the way, article says that. Yeah. That article says that the blacks, hate. Yeah, that the blacks think that. Hold on. Says that more discrimination, which is firing of white teachers, cannot solve past discrimination, and that racism in and itself is evil. Right? It's wrong. It's illegal. If people really did discriminate against teachers, like Minneapolis public schools admit they have done, then they need to remedy that and punish the people who are discriminating, not innocent teachers. Okay. So, I mean, it also says it's, and that came from somebody who's African American. I mean,
or any minority. It doesn't have to just be African American. It could be of any minority. I don't think.
Well, this is but this what just the people. The people on the program, the people that were on Fox were African American. That's the reason I'm saying. So, I mean, and affirmative action is, listen, I'm all for helping people financially from, different classes. I mean, different, black, white, Latin, or whoever, or Oriental and stuff, if they need a step up to get into schools. But don't sit there and admit them on lower test scores and stuff like that because they're minorities. I just don't believe that.
Well, I think the reality is that it can't be at the detriment of someone else. I think that's the key, right? I understand you can help somebody out, and I'm all for it. Also, by
Yeah.
the way, I'm all for.
I'm all
you know
for
me. I believe
helping
in
out
free
people. I'm
education. I
literally,
believe in free
yeah.
healthcare.
I'm all for it if it's financially, but if they
Well-
if they don't if they have lower test scores and stuff like that, you're gonna have somebody. I mean, it's very competitive, right? So you're gonna sit there and you're gonna accept somebody in Harvard or Yale or Michigan State or Michigan or wherever the hell it is, or Florida State, and you're gonna sit there and say, okay, this person can get 1,000 on their SATs. But you can't get 1,000 on your SATs and get into school if you're white.
Yeah. Oh no.
I mean, that's crazy.
I 100%.
Oh, by the way,
agree.
here, Kathy says affirmative action was to counteract racism. I just don't know how that. I don't know how that works.
I think it causes more racism. Actually, I mean, listen. I actually get offended. I was actually citing up my daughter for the Scouts this afternoon, and one of the required questions was ethnicity. It was a required question. It wasn't optional.
Wait, Girl Scouts or Boy Scouts?
Boy Scouts, but now they allow girls in there.
I know, which is to me is insane too.
Well,
I don't get that.
I have mixed feelings about it. I'm not sure which way. But I do like the fact that I do like the fact that like my daughter loves to go out. She likes to fish. She loves bugs, outdoor camping. She loves everything outdoors. So actually, I like the fact that she's able to join a program like that.
Well, don't Girl Scouts or Brownies do the same thing?
Well, I think they don't have the same amount of outdoor activities from the research that I did. So, and I've been involved in scouting before, so I know a little bit about the program. But the point I'm saying, I was actually offended that they forced me to pick an ethnicity. So of course, me being the person I am, I picked her as African American, right?
Yeah.
And then when I sign up my son for something, I pick him as Asian, right? Because I just find it offensive that it matters for some of these things. Like why does it matter what my ethnicity is when I'm trying to sign up for a specific program that has nothing to do with my race?
Okay, sorry, Kathy, you're 100% right. Matter of fact, I was actually told the other day that Oriental is a racist word and I shouldn't use it.
Describes a rug.
So I apologize, Asian.
You said Oriental?
I think I said Oriental, but I apologize for that because you are 100% correct. I used the wrong terminology. So yes.
How is that valid? Is my point though? How is it valid for majority of these programs or
Listen, I don't know why. I mean, when I go and I got to go to the doctor, okay, because I made doctor's appointments. Every time I check in, they want to know Baptist Hospital what I am: white, Latin, other, Asian. Black. I mean, it's crazy, right? Why in the hell? I can understand that if you're going into the hospital and there's something wrong with you.
Yeah.
But why is it every time I go in to see a doctor, they're asking me what my ethnicity is?
Again, I think for medical purposes, for research to determine if there's certain trends and if there's certain illnesses that affect a certain demographic more, I can understand. But to your point, it's not just in the health system; it's all over the place. And this is, again, what perpetuates this kind of mentality. I personally think this whole affirmative action thing is wrong. I think it breeds more hatred.
I think you need to get rid of affirmative action.
I think it hurts more people. I think it perpetuates significantly more hate, because I can only imagine, again, if I was on the other side and I was affected by something like this and I never had a mean bone in my body, how I would think, right? It's forcing me to start hating, because we're all human beings. We all have feelings. And this wouldn't be fair. If you're on the receiving end of this piece of legislation or law or this ruling, you would be pretty frustrated. And we need to sometimes stop.
No,
and think,
I don't. Listen, it's as far as I'm concerned, it's the same as giving all the kids trophies that play soccer.
No,
I mean, maybe not, to that degree, but
I think it's a lot worse.
That's what I mean. I mean, this is
you're talking about people's livelihoods here. You're talking about people's careers.
Yes.
This is their job. This is how people take care of their family. And
but I mean, it's gone so far.
It's not even fair. I don't even. Again, I'm still dumbfounded how this could even possibly be actually happening, because I don't think it's fair.
I'm going to follow up on this, and it's really interesting because God knows everybody will say Singer reads Fox News, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I do. I try to read. I got to tell you something. I'm a little bit of a nerd, and I read constantly. I don't retain anything, but I do read constantly.
Well, and if anybody does find anything more about this, I would love to find out, because it is scary. I mean, this really freaks me out, because I think it's going to cause more violence, more hate crimes.
No, it's just, all it does is if you don't treat people, listen, this is the problem. If you don't treat people the same, there's animosity that builds up, right?
Exactly.
And that's the problem with this country. You can't say everybody needs to be treated on face value, not on, whether they're black or they're Asian, okay, or they're white or they're Latin. They just need everybody
brown.
or brown. I've never heard that term. Okay, so here, the next subject. You'll love this. So I brought this back because we never talked about this. Speaking about treating everybody fairly.
Yeah, well, it's funny. I knew you were going to get to this one next.
Right?
It was a good segue.
Okay. This goes back to December 21. It's a little old, okay? Penn teammate speaks out about transgender swimmer Leah Thomas. Okay? There is a push in this country, okay, and I have no problem with transgender people. I may not understand it, but I can appreciate the fact that, you know, if people think they're a man in a woman's body or a woman in a man's body, so be it. It doesn't affect me on a day-to-day basis. I don't care. The only thing that affects me is go after my family, go after my kids, go after my wife, go after my life. I mean, what people do, as far as I'm concerned, I just don't care. Okay. But when you have somebody who's still technically a guy, okay, swimming and breaking, okay, school records because it's a guy swimming on a girl's team, I've got a problem with that. I mean, listen, you know, girls should swim with girls, women should swim with women, men should swim with men. And if they want to put a different class in there that says transgender people swim on their own, okay?
Well, I think that's the problem is that they're saying, well, I am not a man just because my physical genitalia may be male. My spirit and my
but they have
mind is a
testosterone.
female.
They have testosterone of a man. It's a man who wants to be a woman, as far as I know. And somebody needs to correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, who dresses like a woman, who may be somewhat through a sex change operation. I don't know if they're completely through a sex change operation, but they're swimming against women.
Well, you know, the reason I was actually bringing this up and said it was a good segue from the previous article because it goes back to exactly what I was trying to say is you can't help somebody else at the detriment and at the pain and suffering of someone else.
Correct.
So just like in the previous article, I can see why they're trying to help a specific group of maybe underserved, underprivileged. And again, I'm all for it. And I think we should definitely do it. We should figure out ways to do it. But again, it can't be at the detriment or at the cost of another group of people. Yeah.
Right? And what this
is what's happening.
And what listen, it says a teammate of Leah Thomas on the University of Pennsylvania women's swim team has spoken out about a transgender swimmer that shattered school records. Before her transition, Thomas competed at Penn for 3 years as a male. Now, by the way, I know ultra liberals, okay, that I have friends that literally find this just absolutely ridiculous.
Well, I don't think it's a left or right or liberal, conservative.
Oh,
I think it's more of a matter of what's fair. And
I think there's a lot of liberals that see no problem with this.
Really?
Yeah, although I haven't.
Anybody out on the show that got an opinion?
Anybody who wants to type in that they see no problem with this. It would be great.
I honestly think this is one of those things where it's just maybe more out of fear of getting canceled, part of cancel culture.
Yeah.
We're going to bring that back where people are just saying, yeah, okay, I don't want to speak up about it because I'm afraid somebody's going to call me a racist or bigot or.
I don't know how you can be you can't be a racist. You can be a bigot, but you can't be a racist because being transgender is not a race. Yeah. Okay. It says she recently set records in a 200-meter freestyle, a 500-meter freestyle in November. This past weekend, the record-breaking stretch continued as Thomas set a world record in the 1650-meter freestyle. Her teammate, Anna, I can't pronounce her last name, finished in second place over 38 seconds behind Thomas. Listen, if you have testosterone flowing through your body like a man does, and it's to the detriment of a woman's team. I mean, listen, that'd be like, I can't even think. I can't give an analogy to this.
Well, no, I think the whole point of this is, I think the whole concept of the Olympics. Yeah, I'm probably getting a little out there. The reason why they said that it's supposed to be a amateur athletes was to keep it pure, right? To keep it real, to make this for the competitive spirit of it all, right? And I think it is demoralizing, and it is sort of
no, it's insulting because they know. I would assume that a lot of these women, or I don't know if it should say women or girls, but I would say women because they're in college, would sit there and when they get ready to swim, they know they're not going to come in first place, right?
Yeah. I agree.
They automatically know that when they step on, and honestly, you're gonna do this in the Olympics. Yeah. Is this the way the Olympics is headed? I mean, I have it. Issue with this as much as I have an issue with
about the runner. Are you?
Yeah,
I think there's another article that we had sent.
Oh,
earlier. Yeah.
No, but the next interesting article is about University of Alabama. But I mean, it's I don't know. Life's not fair, but this is really not fair. This goes beyond, and people will push it and push it. And I saw an interview with this individual's mother and said, look, this is he or she should have I think she said she should have a right.
Thomas.
Yeah. She have a right to swim against women.
Well, again,
this could only happen at University of Miami. Oh no, I'm sorry. University of Pennsylvania.
Yeah. No, again, I think
isn't University of Miami's whole football team transgender?
No, I think that again, right intent, wrong execution. I think that's. I think this is going to be the majority of the cases of what happens here in America these days. It's the right intent. We're trying to help people. We're trying to be fair. We're trying to save a life. We're trying to value every single life and everybody's civil liberties. But at the same time, we're hurting other people.
No, but you're hurting other people, right?
We forget the collateral damage that it does.
Oh
to
no, collateral damage everywhere. Okay,
yeah.
So look, that leads me to this next article because I got enough articles today because nothing is. Oh, look, it says UPenn transgender swimmer Leah Thompson sparks outrage by shattering world's records, and that's New York Post. Where's this article? This is a great article here.
Yeah, and by the way, the answer to these questions aren't easy. I think that's.
I don't think any of this. I don't think anything in the world today is easy.
No, it's not. I mean, by the way, I don't want to call anybody out because these aren't.
These are not.
Scenarios. Yeah, I think that's the point. People think it's easy as black, but just do this. No, wait, hold on. You got to take a step back. You got to really think about what the decisions we're making.
Okay, so this is another one that made the paper, The Independent. I don't know what The Independent is, but it says transgender student reveals she was rejected from every sorority at the University of Alabama. Okay, I was in a frat, or should I say fraternity? Okay, knew plenty of girls or women that were in sororities. I'm sorry, and I'm sorry, but being transgender may not be a decision you make. Maybe you're born like that. I couldn't tell you because I'm not smart enough to know. But I can understand sorority girls or women not wanting a transgender person in the sorority. I mean, basically, they're not completely female. They're male, or they're going through the process. And sororities are pretty strict.
But then again, hold on a second. Let's time out here for a second.
Okay, why don't you take it back?
Okay. First of all, again, it says transgender student reveals she was rejected from every sorority at the University of Alabama. First of all, again, this is the problem I have. Why do we assume that the first cause of this is because she's transgender? Maybe she had a bad attitude. Maybe she wasn't a good person, right? And this is the kind of thing.
I didn't really analyze it
that's the problem.
Content.
I'm sure that not every person gets accepted at every single sorority or fraternity either. Right? There's some people that they may.
Well, they do at University of Miami. I'm just joking. I went to UM, guys. Okay, don't be sending me hate mail.
Yeah. Well, no, but again, I think they just pick up on the one factor. It could have been a person. This person may have only had 9 fingers, right? And the article could have been the headline of the article would have been, female student with 9 fingers gets rejected from every sorority at the university, right? Now, is it because she only had 9 fingers? So
I don't know. It says over the last 2 years, incoming freshmen at University of Alabama have taken to social media platforms such as TikTok and Instagram to document their attempts to join Greek-like at the university with a process known as Alabama Rush Week. Florida State has the same thing, so does UM. Or Bama Rush. As of Wednesday, the hashtag Bama Rush has accumulated over more than 1.6 billion views on TikTok. During the sorority rush period, students interested in joining one of the nearly 20 sororities chapters on campus often documented their outfits of the day and shared other tidbits of information about the recruitment process, with videos often going viral. I don't know. I mean, this is another article.
No, because so here's where I get to. So here's the funny part. So what's the solution, David? What's the solution? You're now the president of the university. What's the solution?
I think
honestly, I'm leading you intentionally.
Okay,
so go ahead.
I think this.
Setting you up.
I don't think there's a solution, but I think the fact of the matter is that there's some people, okay, whether rightfully or wrongfully, that if they don't fit in a particular bucket, have to realize that they don't fit in a particular bucket and maybe start a sorority or fraternity or some other club that has transgender people in it, right? It used to be back in the day that when my dad lived down here, that he wasn't allowed on, this is different, but he wasn't allowed on the beach. You know, African Americans weren't allowed on the beach after a certain time of night. I mean,
and now you own the beach.
Yeah, there you go. Not just this beach.
Is that stereotyping?
We also, yeah. We also own the movie theater and the banks and everything else in the world. But I think the fact of the matter is, it goes back to what I said. I mean, people like to hang around, okay, with like kind of people, and I don't think that.
But I'm trying to leave you here.
I don't think. Yeah, I know you are. I don't think a guy who's in the process of having a sex change operation, if he does have a sex change operation, is going to be somebody that a sorority, which is all females, want to hang out with.
And that's kind of, well, okay. But so again, I'm putting you on the hot seat here for a second. You're the president of the university, or you're part of the board. What is your suggestion? What is your solution? What is your suggestion as a response to this article?
I don't know. I mean, I literally, I don't
Okay.
know. I don't. It's just something that it was interesting to me for a conversation. I don't have some sort of magic wand I can sit there and.
All right. Well, listen, I'll accept that answer. Although I was trying to lead David here so I can attack him back.
Yeah.
He was being very safe and cautious in this time.
I'm always safe and cautious because I don't want to hurt this person's feelings. But I don't want. Listen, the fact of the matter is, I don't want to hurt his feelings. Okay, and I don't know if it's. I don't know. I would assume that you call him or a she. I'm always screwed up now because they have so many different gender
He just heard it. You just met.
Yeah, I know. No. But they have so
It's
many
obviously
different.
a her and a she, David.
Yeah. But I mean, no, not really. Is it? If a person hasn't had a sex
She
change,
was rejected of every sorority, so she identifies as a she.
She, correct.
What am I gonna do with
But
this guy?
physically, she might not be a she.
Yeah. Well, again, I mean that's the whole,
Right?
Yeah. So you could say her physical.
Do you know how many different genders are there now? When I was growing up, there were two genders, male or female.
Well, the whole thing with the gender and sex debate is that
Let's ask the millennials.
Yeah, we're asking a millennial here.
like when I personally I guess I'm technically Gen Z or something like
Whatever.
that. Like, this,
Okay.
Yeah. But
I may have to turn the camera on you.
for me, right, gender is separate from sex. So I view sex as being two binaries, right? Only male and female, right?
Okay.
'Cause that's the sex organs you're born with, right?
Yes.
Of course, there are hermaphrodites and intersex people that, kind of like bridge the gap, right? But it's mostly male and female. But when it comes to gender, that's where it gets weird. That's where people feel feminine.
Yeah,
and
but
they
what's
feel
the definition of
masculine.
gender? What's the look up what gender definition of gender is on the internet.
Here, let's
Yeah,
see.
but
I mean, you're born with a gender, right?
yeah. Okay.
You don't invent your own gender.
Okay, but I guess it's defining gender, right? So are you defining gender as your physical attributes, or how you you emotionally and
That's the
spiritually
thing.
feel?
Sex, right?
So-
is
so yeah,
your
so-
Okay, so
physical
go
attributes.
scroll down on
Liam
gender.
is educating us here.
Okay,
Being the Gen Z
scroll-
or millennial
Yeah,
or being
scroll
much
down
more-
on gender. What does it say? Either of the two sexes, male or female, especially when they're considered with reference to social and cultural differences rather than biological ones. Okay, the term is also used more broadly to denote a range of identities that do not correspond into established ideas of male and female. So how many different genders are there now?
Well, there's like that's where there's a
You
bunch
have
of
gender
debate.
fluid. Okay, so that's
Yeah.
3,
Mhm.
right? And what else? There's like 7 different genders.
Well,
Listen, you
say
guys
that-
have to all excuse me because I'm really old and I'm not used to this. I mean, this whole idea of 7 different genders is basically what 5-6 years ago, 6 years old.
It's like 20 years old, 10 years old.
Okay, well, I only heard about it
Yeah,
5
yeah.
years ago.
Well, I mean, it's like I've done some reading on it, but to me that doesn't really matter because that's like that's a lot of internet debate right now that hasn't really breached like the mainstream.
Yeah.
I feel. It's mostly just like recognizing that there's a spectrum, right, between male and female, and that people just they fall between that spectrum.
Listen,
whether they're the
listen,
middle or all the
again,
way
based
through.
on my personal philosophies, it's to each his own. I'm personally okay with it. I think it's just when it becomes an issue where they get offended or upset by someone else not understanding, I think is where I have.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
I can
because-
honestly tell you I don't understand.
Yeah, and but see that should be okay
Yeah.
too, because and I don't judge.
No, they're going to cancel me anyway after this program, so it doesn't make a difference.
No, but where I was leading you in this specific
I know
example,
I know that Kathy's going to sit there
she's-
and send me an email saying, "How can you wait if you're born female, genitals one male, another, and trans sex themselves make sense. There is an unfair advantage." Yeah, there is an unfair advantage, but the fact of the matter is, look, you're male or you're female. If you want to, the way you have sex to me is something. You can be bisexual, but you're still a male being bisexual, right? If you're gender fluid, what the hell does that mean? Yeah, I mean, the fact of the matter, if you're attracted to women, okay, then you're attracted to women. If you're attracted to men, you're attracted to men. If you're gay or lesbian, that's okay. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that either. But not that you need my permission, but there's nothing wrong with that. But gender fluid is what really confuses me. Maybe I need to talk to a psych about it.
Well, I think the whole idea is, I guess I'm going to go out there and say something that may not be correct, but I'm assuming it's something like being bisexual, where you may at some point prefer at some point in time you may identify. Well,
yeah, but that doesn't make you gender fluid.
Yeah,
but that doesn't change. But that doesn't change your sex.
I take that back.
I think if I remember, gender fluid is like, if you feel like a man one day, then you're a man, and if you feel like you're a female one day, you may be a female.
Oh, then you're gender fluid.
I can live with that.
But that's like,
I have my soft.
Yeah.
This is my limited knowledge of it as well.
Yeah.
I really,
we need to get somebody on the program who's gender fluid.
I mean,
because I need to learn.
We're going to find the guest, and we're going to.
I know.
Yeah. Well, but again, I think the point of this.
Kathy will find me somebody who's gender fluid.
I think the community. Should not necessarily judge. Again, this is the reverse racism. No, I think they shouldn't judge other folks who don't understand.
Listen,
as not
this
necessarily
is the way
being
our culture is. This is the way the United States is right now.
But I do want to say one last comment, and the reason why I'm saying is because articles like that are trying to instill or try to evoke someone to make a unilateral decision. And all it's going to do is hurt people more. The point where I was trying to lead David is if the president of the university tomorrow, the board or whatever, whoever governs the authority said, you cannot discriminate or you cannot reject somebody based on their gender identity, and now we're going to force you to accept this person. Again, it's kind of like
we can't do that.
That's my point. You can't legislate acceptance. You can't legislate to like someone else.
Correct.
And it actually does. And again, in my opinion, it does
you can't legislate morals.
It completely does the complete opposite. It actually pushes people further away. It actually creates more animosity, more hatred. That's kind of what I was going to get to. So it's very dangerous, these kind of articles, because it almost wants to. It's kind of it's the antagonist of trying to provoke people to make a decision, to make some kind of judgment, to create some kind of rule to control how you and I feel about people, and you can never do that. You can never legislate how someone's going to treat somebody else. So anyways, that's all I want to say.
Oh, Kelly says keep sex behind closed doors where it belongs. What happens if you want to have sex in the kitchen? I don't have a closed door in my kitchen. Just joking, Kelly.
Well, no, but I kind of like what Kelly.
No, I mean that's right.
It is your personal privacy. And again,
listen,
that's kind of you shouldn't be offended that somebody else doesn't like it.
That's why people consider me ultra liberal, and then I start talking about other things, and they can consider me ultra conservative. It's just nuts. I mean, the fact of the matter is, I don't have a problem with anybody doing anything that does not hurt other people.
Yeah, well,
I mean that to me that would be perfect for this country, right?
Yeah.
Don't sit there and get in my face and give me shit, okay, about anything unless it's hurting somebody else.
But I think, again, devil's advocate here. I think the problem though is that if you feel, and again, I'm okay with people having a difference of opinion. You may say, listen, I don't believe in gender fluidness. I believe there's male and female, and I don't believe in all this stuff. Leave me alone. And I think people should be okay with that too. You don't have to have.
Oh no, you got in today's society, everybody wants you to.
Well, that's the problem. Is like you shouldn't force people to drink the Kool-Aid either. And again, as long as based on what you just quote unquote said, as long I just touched you, I feel like Karen Cunningham.
That's exactly what Karen Cunningham does.
Except the difference is when I do it to David, he gets this big smile and he turns all red.
I kind of like that.
Yeah. See, he's not homophobic. Like I told you, no.
Yeah, there you go.
No, the point of it is that you shouldn't force these people. You shouldn't. Again, we're just as bad if we're saying, hey, just because you don't believe in something, going back to what you said, as long as it's not hurting somebody else, I may say, listen, I don't believe in it. I don't agree with it. I don't think it's not part of my life, but have fun with it. You shouldn't hate that person. You shouldn't call that person out or cancel that person just because he or she doesn't believe in what you believe in. Because it goes back to your point. That person is not hurting you, has no intent of hurting you or anything
I got to take this canceled society has really hurt this country.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I got to tell you that when nobody's going to, because nobody will give you their opinion because they're afraid to be canceled. Okay.
I tell you,
and let me tell you something.
I don't have a dog in this fight.
The devil you know is a shitload better than the devil you don't know.
Oh, absolutely.
I would rather sit there and talk to somebody who's like
hates me,
hates Jewish people and find out that they hate Jewish people, because I think it's kind of interesting, right? Instead of somebody sitting there and hiding it from me, because they're afraid to tell.
I bring this point up all the time. I'm perfectly okay with people hating me. I'm perfectly okay.
Oh, that's good, because there's a lot of people out there.
Well, I had to get used to it if I want to live in this world. And I'm okay with somebody being racist towards me. Again, as long as they're not infringing on my happiness and my rights, I don't feel compelled, and I don't hate them back. I don't feel compelled to understand. Well, why does Liam hate me? Right? What is it about me? What,
Talking about the vice mayor Palmetto Bay, Liam Callum. She hates you.
I'm talking about our Liam. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I don't feel compelled that I have to change his mind. It's okay. I respect the fact that he just hates me for whatever reason. My ugliness, my follically challenged nature. But it's okay.
What do you mean? He's as bad as you are. I'm the only one that bought the damn helmet.
Yeah. But it's okay though. So I don't understand why. Again, it's I guess that's that reverse discrimination. But again, it's okay. Moral of the story is what I'm trying to explain is I hope this message gets out to somebody is even if somebody doesn't agree with you, and even if you think it's wrong, as long as they're not hurting somebody, as long as what they're doing isn't
provoking violence,
okay, affecting your life and your civil liberties.
That's right.
It's okay. Continue to love them, right? It's okay. There's nothing wrong.
Or continue to hate me.
Yeah, or continue.
I got no problem with people hating me either. Believe me, there's enough people out there.
Yeah, but
I think some people just watch this show because they hate me. Anyway, but that's okay because it gets me more viewers, right? I don't know. I mean, it's so. I personally think this country is ready to explode. We're gonna explode, and we're gonna literally. I think we're gonna go back to the '60s.
Ultimately, it's up to us parents to teach our kids to love everyone, and that's but I am raising
parents,
my kids.
Okay, I love this one. So how do you feel about this one? Ready? Okay, so you teach your kids not to lie, but then you turn around and lie.
Oh, it's funny because you mentioned that. I don't teach my kids about Santa Claus because I can't lie to them. Like,
no, but
when they ask me about it,
do you know how many people?
Right.
Yeah, but you know how many people I know that sit there, okay, and tell their kids, "Don't lie, don't lie, don't lie," and then they turn around and lie the next day, and it's constant. So how do you sit there and teach? How do you sit there and preach to your kids not to lie?
Well, yeah.
How do you? Sorry, I'm reading comments. How do you sit there and tell your kids when they're growing up, don't lie, don't lie, don't lie, and then sit there and go to work the next day and lie your ass off? Yeah. I mean, it's crazy, right? And it happens all the time.
No, it's funny you mention that because I tell my wife and my kids
all the time.
Sometimes people tell me, "Why did you say that?" I say, "I can't lie to my kids. Like, if they ask me a question, I tell them the truth." So they say, "Daddy,
I tell everybody,
Daddy, are you gonna die?" Yes, I am.
I think I've been divorced twice because I don't lie.
Yeah, well,
that people ask me why have you been divorced? I won't lie.
Well, but you're probably better off divorced than hurting somebody else in the long run. It's probably, in the grand scheme of things, it's probably the better out. So anyhow,
anyway, it's okay. We can talk about this all day because this is kind of interesting. I just I was going back to saying this country is ready to explode. And I really think it is. I mean, the fact of the matter is you got two. The
fact of the matter is you just passed legislation that says you can hate somebody.
You can sit there. You got the far left and the far right, and eventually nobody wants to sit there and reach across the aisle and find out what things they have in common. And the only way this country will ever work is to sit there and find commonality. Is that a word? I know that's a word. Commonality.
Yeah.
Okay.
Commonality.
Between people, so you can kind of like agree with certain things and move forward. And you're just not getting that in this country. And I think, what was I born in the 60s? This is the first time, maybe I'm just getting a little older, that I've actually realized that's a huge issue. And then every time, you say something that somebody doesn't like, they want to cancel you and kick you down the stairs.
I've been here and I grew up here, and I feel like we were getting closer and closer and closer. And for whatever reason, all of a sudden we started going together, and now we're starting to go apart again.
Yeah, I think it's probably like a pendulum, right?
That's kind of how
is this country like a pendulum? Like it goes back and forth, and
I don't know if it's pendulum.
You get really, really conservative, and then get really, really liberal, and then get really, really conservative, and get really, really liberal. But it's not. It's just like the pendulum's like split.
Yeah, but that's the whole point. I don't even think it's a conservative, a liberal thing, because I think that both sides have this separatist behavior and bad attitude.
Oh no. The far right and the far left are just equally to blame for the problems in this country.
Yeah, because
and the politicians are even worse than the people who have the opinions.
And if I had to, and I say this openly because again, I like to call it how it is. Sometimes I'm harder maybe on the left because the left, quote unquote, usually flies under the banner of inclusion and diversity. Yeah. And hey, we need to.
But they're quicker. But they'll be the quickest ones to cancel you.
That's kind of
okay. So that's it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, include everything.
I have to say it how it is.
Listen,
maybe people don't like it, but that's kind of how I feel. Because going back to Rizzi, if that's the banner and the guideline that you're making your charge based on, then I'm going to hold you to a higher standard. That's kind of my point.
Yeah, but the right is also basically the group that's more, in my opinion, more religious, right?
But again, folks, there is no right and left.
Yeah, but if the right seems to be more religious, right? So if you're religious and you believe in the teaching of Christ and everything,
Yeah, hold on a second. But is the right more religious, or is this the fact that, again, the whole agenda that this left and right is pushing, that this is what I hated about it. This is where this country's going, that they pigeonhole you. Remember I said, okay, I like guns. Oh, you're automatically right. Oh, you support gays. Oh, you're automatically left. Right? That's actually the whole problem. So, okay,
actually
I believe in religion. Oh, I'm automatically, a right-wing conservative. How maybe you have a faith, you're a person of faith, you believe in God, you believe in spirituality, but you're not an extremist, right? It's possible you can believe in a lot of other things.
I just tend to think that the right, and somebody will correct me if I'm wrong, is more religious than the left. But what the hell do I know?
It's.
I mean, I could just be talking out of my ass.
Yeah, it's kind of like.
I mean, what I found interesting is I looked the other day and I found out that liberals are fairly higher educated than conservatives.
But they're still religious liberals.
Yeah, no. I'm not saying it's not all or nothing.
But that's my point, is that people try to profile you based on one interest instead of
correct.
That,
and people try to profile me all the time. Half the people say I'm like this ultra left winger, and the other people say I'm ultra right. And I'm really, all I want to do is leave. Do you want to know what my main goal is? To leave the world a better place for my kids. Right? That's what everybody's main goal is.
So why don't you just do us all a favor and leave?
Yeah. I go.
Sorry.
No, I mean literally.
I don't think I'll be coming back after this.
Literally, isn't that what we all really want? Is to leave the world better for our kids? I mean, Liam's never gonna have kids, but I mean, the rest of us.
No, I don't believe so. Actually, that's actually the problem. If it did, we wouldn't be polluting the world. We wouldn't be raping the earth. We wouldn't be so self-loathing. We wouldn't be this whole nation of consumerism. So no, I don't believe that. Actually.
Look, Kathy has something else. Kathy's really given good comments today. I don't believe in statue tear down or changing Aunt Jemima, Uncle Ben. That's all this. All that is catering. Yeah, that's just catering to it's silly. First of all, they shouldn't tear down the statues. What they should do with the statues, actually, if you want to know the truth, and I know they're insulting to certain minority groups, is put them in a museum. Oh, yeah. Like they have the Holocaust Museum, they should have a museum for the Confederate or soldiers and everything else, because it is history, right? Yeah. So and you want to sit there and you want to find out what happens if you get rid of all the statues and all that. You really don't have as much history, and you learn. I'm hoping that you learn through history. Right? I don't think Russia has, but literally, they're insane.
There's a difference between putting it in a museum and putting it like in a public space where.
Oh no! I mean, I wouldn't put. Give me a Robert E. Lee, right? Yeah, I wouldn't put that in front of a university. Yeah, but you can't. But it should be in a. The statue should be in a museum somewhere.
But if he's already there, do we really need to remove it? If we're saying he's part of history, it was part of a history, we need to embrace our past and understand it for better or for worse. Again, let me
for God's sakes, the worst symbol in the world is a swastika. You go into a history, if you go into a museum of in Washington, D.C., they have the Holocaust Memorial, right? You see swastikas everywhere, right? Because it's a form of history. Yeah. So you can't get rid of history. Okay, you shouldn't get rid of history, because if you lose history, you lose knowledge. Okay, so take the damn statues, okay, and put them in a museum and tell why there was a civil war. Explain the story, okay, so people can go to that museum and learn about the Civil War. That's what you should be doing with these statues.
Yeah, well, and again, maybe because it doesn't resonate as deeply as I am, I don't find it as offensive if it's a part of history. And
no, but nobody wants to see that shit, and you're hurting people's feelings.
No, but see, that's the point too. I can understand if it does specifically hurt a demographics and they really are offended by it. I don't see a big deal of removing it either.
Okay, so we got 2 or 3 minutes. So wow. The only literally, and we didn't even get to your subject. What was your subject?
Well, the metaverse.
Oh, the metaverse. Okay, so I'm going to have him on. If nobody knows what the metaverse is, I don't know what the metaverse is, but it's apparently a very interesting subject. We're going to have him on next month to talk about the metaverse. Okay, so listen, I eat raw oysters all the time. I love raw oysters. I started eating them when I was up at Florida State. I don't think I ever had them before I was at Florida State, but I had them at Florida State. So this is an article that I ran into on NBC Miami that says a man is dead after contracting a bacteria infection from eating a raw oyster at the Rustic Inn Crab House in Fort Lauderdale, according to Sun Sentinel. The manager of the restaurant, Gary Ordeal, declined to talk on camera, but told NBC6 that the man who died had worked at the restaurant 20 years and encountered and recently stopped by to eat with his family. He had also not heard of any other customers becoming sick and eating oysters there. Apparently, there's been a lot of people have died.
By the way, I like Catherine's last comment. It was actually pretty good.
I'll read it and say. Apparently, a lot of people have died this year from eating oysters. This is like the 6th case. And I'm not gonna stop eating oysters because I'm not gonna stop eating sushi. Okay, but it's interesting that in today's day and age that people die from this shit in restaurants.
Is it a post-COVID thing?
No, I just found it.
Yeah, but is this stat like new or is this something?
No, that's brand new.
But I'm saying, is this like a current trend or have people been dying from oysters?
You know what? That's a damn good question. Oh, yeah. I also found an article about Mike Tyson leaving coming into Miami International Airport in a wheelchair. Apparently, did you read this article? No. This is a good article. I'll let you read it. Mike Tyson apparently was saying that he doesn't have much longer to live, blah, 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 the other day on the news. And apparently they were wheeling him off a plane in a wheelchair. So I wonder what's going on with him. I happen to grew up watching his fights. I didn't like him, some of the stuff that he did out of the boxing ring, but I actually enjoyed watching him box. Okay, so let's read two more from Kathy, and then we'll go. Okay, if we leave the statutes where they are, add a plaque that says we used to hail this guy until 5/22/22, and now we realize it was wrong, and you tell him why. That's how generations learn. Correct. This is my point. Admit our mistake right there. Leave the freaking statue. I change your freaking statue and explain what you're saying. Okay. I walked in a park. I like running into statues. I won't go to museums to learn shit. I can say shit because of my show. It's appealing to me. See, I'm a big nerd. Any time I go to like New York or Chicago or Washington, D.C., I love going to museums. More people see statues in parks and would never go to museum. So they are updated notion there. Okay.
Updated notation.
Thank you. Notation. Yeah. Thank you. My eyes are gone. Yeah. I mean, you can have an outdoor museum for God's sakes. You don't have to be inside. You can have you in a park, literally, if you go to Washington, D.C., there's nothing but outside parks. I mean, you got, Lincoln Memorial, you got the Washington Memorial, you got whatever else, you got the Vietnam Memorial. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. You can, yeah.
I mean, I got a fundamental issue. I think that the reason why racism a lot of the time is around is because we perpetuate it. We constantly bring it up.
Yeah, you don't think we brush it under the rug so nobody learns?
Well, no, I think the point is that when people are born, we kind of instill these stereotypes and these racist thoughts into people's heads because of all this diversity, right? It's because of, in a way, it kind of perpetuates, right? Again, when I'm filling out a form and I have to pick an identity and pick a race and pick all these things, is like we constantly make it an issue. Like I don't try to teach my kids, this is this kid, this is that kid. No, listen, these are all kids, these are all friends, these are all people. Listen, we kind of perpetuate this separation.
You drop a bunch of 4-year and 5-year-olds off in a daycare.
They don't care.
They don't give a crap. Okay, so this is to hate somebody is a learned trait. Okay, you're not born to hate.
Exactly.
You learn it. You learn it through nurture. You learn it through your parents. You learn it through your friends.
Well, and that's why the more and more we have these things, it causes more racism, more hatred. That's kind of my point. I don't teach my kids that
kids. You're not born a racist or a bigot.
No,
it's a learned trait. I mean, there's a lot of things you're born with, but that's not one of them.
I 100% agree.
You're born with 4 toes on each foot. Okay. That's not something you learned.
Huh?
Okay. Anyway, so that's it for today. Thanks for everybody for watching. I appreciate it.
Love each other.
You don't have to love each other, but
I didn't say make love to each other. No, I said just love each other.
At least sit there and try to understand.
Why can't you love each other? Just love people.
Oh, that's because I'm not a 60s flower child. You're never going to get people to love each other.
David is confusing.
Listen, this is all I want.
David's confusing love each other with make love to each other. I want everybody to
tolerate each other.
No,
it would be nice, right?
Listen, you can't tolerate. Toleration means that at some point in time it breaks. You have to accept.
No, whatever. Accept, tolerate, same thing. Okay, everybody. So I'm gone. Thanks, Mo, for coming by. We'll do this again next month. We'll get to your topic. Your topic will be metaverse will be the first topic we talk about because I know that's something dear to your heart. Next week, I don't even know what the hell it is. It's some fake universe somewhere up in the cloud that.
Well, that's the problem. It's all this hype and nonsense that everybody's spewing out. Nobody knows what the real.
I have no idea what metaverse is, but I guess I'm going to learn. And I'm actually going to do Liam's job, and Liam's going to sit there and talk to Mo about the metaverse because they both know about the metaverse. Anyway, I'm out of here. Thanks, everybody. Stay safe. Don't forget, Steve Cody, you're the man. I would have no material if it wasn't for you for the beginning of my show. I really appreciate it.
Actually, keep it up. It makes me laugh.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, somebody who's psychologically as deranged as Cody is, you gotta discuss it every once in a while. Anyway, thanks everybody. Gene Flynn next week. Peace out. Stay safe, and go get your whatever shot you need this week, whether it's COVID or it's smallpox or whether it's shingles or whatever. There's something every week now.
Well, yeah, because it became a big money making machine.
It's every week you got there's a different issue. Anyway, peace out. Thanks. Bye.